Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor live from the Dominican Republic. Welcome, world.
What's up, Jeremiah?
Well, a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat, and a lot of humidity. But apart from that, everything is perfect. How was your week?
Yeah, week has been good. We're working on all the details for our next trip. We're having a big event with our distributor in Norway with Frederick. Then the next day I go to see our good friend Merida that's saying goodbye to the business after 33 years. But we had to go do that big event. Then I'm going to go see another good friend of yours next day in Copenhagen, Jesper. I'm having 2 events with him. Then I go see your partners in crime in Brussels, Ben and his brother. So I think that it'll be a good trip. After that, take a week or so off, and then we all go meet at the PCA. That's going to be probably one of the best, I would say, probably in the last 10 years, without a doubt. A lot of things coming out, a lot of special things.
A lot of special things, and the fact that everybody's going to be together. There's going to be a lot of people at the PCA this year, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody in person, not only there to be together, but also to support the wonderful organization.
Of course.
Without them, the tobacco landscape would be very, very different in the United States. I'd also like to take the opportunity to send a huge hug to Murcia, who we've worked with for many, many, many years. I know she's on the verge of walking out of the shop that she built over the last lifetime, but she'll be in our hearts forever. And what she's done for the landscape of cigars over there is just unreal. It's a very hostile environment to build the premium cigar industry, but she managed to do it, and she managed to do it with style, with class, with elegance, and with a big heart.
For over 30 years.
All the best, and thank you very much. Well, over 30 years, exactly. Look at that. Exactly. That's even a long time for you, Jose.
Oh. The funny thing is, she's Finnish, and you know that Emma is very proud because she's half Finnish. So when they get together, you could imagine Finnish women. Well, you see who runs Finland? It's women who runs Finland. 5 of them.
Well, that's how of who. If they're down in hell, it's not where it stops smoking up.
That is true.
Anyways, on another note, I think we should also take the opportunity to send a huge, huge amount of congratulations to Did my internet keep going?
Yeah, comes and goes.
Comes and goes. Welcome to the Dominican Republic. Anyways, I wanted to send my love to Lidiana Fuente and her husband, Wes. Mazel tov, congratulations. The wedding was incredible. But more than anything, the both of them are incredible. And I think all of us here and everybody watching sends them the biggest congratulations. Lots of love, lots of nachas, and a lot of good things moving forward in the future.
Without a doubt. Happy couple. Happy the whole Fuente family. We hope the grandkids are on the way soon to make Papo happy.
Talking about grandkids, let's jump to the next subject. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest of honor, as always, on the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor show today. Today's a very special. Please, the one and only Tony Bellatto. Tony, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Tony, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Well, we don't need the headphones. How about that?
Good. Tony, I mean, I've known you I saw you grow up practically.
Yes, you did.
Because I met your father.
Let me get it straight. You've seen everybody grow up, including Julius Caesar, Napoleon. So let's do it again. Tony, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Well, Jeremiah, let me tell you something. You fall in that category of me seeing you and Josh grow up, not Melissa, but you and Josh. So respect your elders.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
With all due respect, that's true.
Tony, I met your father. I remember the date. It was Nashville, 1998, at
Wow.
my first. It was my second. I think it was my second RTDA, and it was Nestor who introduced me and Mariana to him, because your father was a big client of La Aurora in those days. And I remember that I visit you guys then with Rodney Jagle, I think was the rep. I don't know if he's still alive or.
Yeah, he's a gun salesman now, Rodney. He still talks to my father. Not frequently, but they still talk. He went into. He sells guns now. He sells a lot of guns. He did very well for himself after the cigar business. So.
And I think he's an ex-Marine, right?
Yeah.
There's no. Correction. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine. I've been corrected that many times.
Yes.
But anyway, Tony, it's great to see you. Great to have you on our show. And I know that Carlito's going to pop in later, because I think Carlito has a lot of stories with your grandfather, your father, more than I do. And you know that Carlito's much older than me, even though he says he's not.
Yeah, so is my dad. They're all older than you.
Tony, let me ask you something. Do you remember your first premium cigar?
I do, actually. And I was trying to find one for today, but I'm out. It was a Don Carlos number 3.
Really?
Yep. It was a Don Carlos number 3, because my dad used to smoke 858s, and I have it's just serendipitous that I'm on the show, especially with Mr. Meerapfel. I can remember my dad getting home from work late, and I would know he was home because I could smell the cigar. Because I would in my room, because he would have a cigar. He would come into the house to finish the night with the cigar. But I would smell the 858 and the Cameroon tobacco from when I was very little, and that's how like you can relate smell with memory.
Of course.
So that the smell of the Cameroon tobacco to me to this day, I can pick it out of a room, because it immediately brings me back to like when my dad would get home. Because then I would wake up, get out of bed, and run down to hang out with him when he would have a cigar. So Cameroon tobacco to me has a very special place in my heart, and so does the Fuente family. So again, it's very serendipitous that you've invited me on the show, and I'm very grateful. But that being said, I remember my friend and I, my best friend and I, we were 18 and we were graduating, and that was back when you could smoke when you were 18. We actually walked in and bought a box of Don Carlos number 3 from my dad, and shared them with all of our friends at graduation. So that was the first premium cigar I ever purchased and smoked and loved. It's still my favorite cigar to this day.
Tony, you know that we've had a lot of people on the show, but you fall in the category that's kind of different from the majority of people, because you grew up in the retail business. You're third generation, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Your grandfather, your father, and you. So all of a sudden, after being in retail so many years, all of a sudden, and I remember I was working for Joya de Nicaragua at that time, that you gave me some of the first blends that you made, and I think there were 2 of them, and I told you one I didn't like a lot, but I told you one I think was a winner. I think more or less that I liked it a lot.
And it was the one that ended up being the most popular, ironically enough. Like you didn't like the Corojo as much as you liked the Habano, and the Habano ended up being La Barba Purple, and that was the one that you really liked. But yeah, it's my dad's 50th year in the business. He started in 1972, and then I started making cigars right around 2012.
Yeah, that I remember. So let me ask you this. Growing up in the retail business after so many years, I mean, you were in the shop at that time. There was no question about being in shops and things like that before this thing. Out of the retail business, because your father had 2 shops, and you had your own shop too.
Yes.
What would you say was one of the biggest lessons that you learn being behind the counter and then being in front of the counter?
I would say that the biggest lesson that I've learned is communication and customer service, no matter what. So whether or not you're behind the counter, whether or not you're a manufacturer, or whether or not you're a consumer, I think that communicating the importance of premium cigars and educating the consumer and the retailer on the products that you have has been my biggest lesson. That's what my dad taught me. Is every cigar is a hand sold cigar, and it deserves to be that way. It's no different than any other piece of art or jewelry or anything of that matter. Every cigar is a piece of art and should be treated that way. So I think that's my approach in any form of sales or consumption with anything that I do anymore.
When I visit you with 3 different companies, and for many, many years, and your father, and a lot of us would say that only 2 great things came out of your neck of the woods, because Dean Martin always said he was born in Youngstown, Ohio, but we know it wasn't really Youngstown. It was close to Youngstown. So we used to say only 2 great things came out of Ohio: Dean Martin and Gene and Gino, your father.
Well, yes, it's funny because my good friend is a huge Frank Sinatra fan. He used to work for Nat Sherman, La Fort Dominicana. Andrew Brennan, I don't know if you remember him, but
of course.
And he was a huge Rat Pack fan and this huge Frank Sinatra fan, and he called me and he says, I'm on my way to Steubenville. And I said, why are you going to Steubenville? And he says, I'm going to Dean Martin's birthplace. I go, you're going to be really, really disappointed. And he got there, and there's like this tiny little plaque, in like a park bench in the middle of like this post-industrial like wasteland. And he said, there's nothing to do here. And I said, well, why don't you just come up to Youngstown and have a cigar? I'm like, I know you were disappointed, but we could have a cigar in Dean's memory. But there's really nothing there. There's no museum, and there's there's nothing but a plaque.
But the thing was that for years, Dean Martin always said that it was in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes. Yeah, it's only a half hour away, but it's a different town than he was born in. But yeah, it's Youngstown. It's all Youngstown. I actually don't live in Youngstown. I live in what's called Champion, which is about 40 miles south of Lake Erie. But it's still considered Youngstown. It's a big radius because all the little towns kind of get eaten up by Youngstown.
You talk about Youngstown. There's a couple of youngsters here that want to say hello, Tony. You ready?
Yes.
Let's go for it.
Oh, hello.
Hey, how's my favorite nephew?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
The grandson of the best third baseman that ever played baseball.
Luigi. Good old Luigi.
Tony, yeah, absolutely. Tony, you know what? You are my nephew, so I give you all the authority. You know what the show's all about.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's about busting balls. So, the professors always say, and people are always saying how old he is and everything. The guy doesn't stop. I knew your great-grandfather. Yeah, I was there, baby. He was my friend, and he knows everybody. He's been around forever. What does he expect people to think, Tony? See, like me, I'm a youngster. I'm learning the trade right now.
Exactly.
Hey, brother.
You and my father.
No, let me tell you something. Your father Gino and everything, just remind them about the front door of our headquarters, the factory. For about 10 years, every time they came to visit, Fred Zamboni visited us. There was the front door glass was cracked, and it was duct tape. And for many years, and they kept on saying, man, how could a company like Fuente got this building and the front door is held together with duct tape? And my father said, it could hold 2 more hurricanes. Don't worry. I had to build this one brick at a time. I said, Dad, we got to change the door. It's embarrassing. Nah, it'll hold 2 more hurricanes. But anyway, ask your dad and everything about that. A lot of memories going back to the early 1970s. Statler Hilton, New York. when I don't remember the name. Was it the RTDA?
Yeah, it was RTDA. So the funny thing about that is my dad rented a station wagon to go to that trade show because he thought everything that he was going to buy at the trade show he was going to take back with him. And he said that him and my grandfather sat in the suite with you and your dad for hours and hours and hours and just busted each other's balls and had a great time. He said that they drove all the way to New York and they just hung out with you two. So
that's the absolute truth. And you know what? We didn't sell. That was our first show. We didn't sell any cigars, but we had a hell of a time because your grandfather knew every underground, every spot that made the best sauce, the best Italian meatballs. I learned so much with them in Chicago. And you know what? I remember I said, where's this guy taking me, man? Am I going to come out of here alive? And you see, and bro, and there's lines and lines and lines and lines. Here comes your grandfather, a little pinky ring, and he goes like this, and this big 6'6" big guy comes out, with the tux on, and he says, "It's Bellatto, come with me." And then all of a sudden we walk in front of the line, and we got a table, and I have special memories. Just want to share with you, son, because this show is about remembering those that have given us so much love. And there's no question that that's exactly what your family has done to me. I never forget them. Since you were just so young and born and everything, I always considered you a nephew because always your father's my brother and your grandfather, he's the best, man. He was like my father. He is the best, even though same age basically, but I would never tell the professor that.
Correct.
But,
correct.
You guys are awesome. By the way, Professor, I know you know your history and you're talking about D. Martin and everything, but you never really hung around with the Bellattos a whole week and everything, and then sell them a cigar and they never bought you a cigar. You have to learn history. Youngstown, Ohio, ask Gino, ask Luigi, Boom Boom Mancini, Boom Boom Mancini. That's all they talked. I didn't know who. Hey, Boom Boom Mancini, Boom Boom Mancini, Boom Boom Mancini.
I was just with Ray this week. Actually, we did a fundraiser. Ironically, a friend of mine built a school a little bit north of where your school is. They built it's in La Romana, I think.
Oh, wow.
So we did a big fund. We raised $10,000 for a semester of school. But we got Ray to come because Ray's a big cigar guy, and so it was good that he comes in. He lives in California, but he comes into town and goes to see my dad every once in a while. But it was good to get them reconnected and hear all those old stories about all these old mugs that were Youngstown guys.
Well, man, that's great. The story. That's what life's all about: is sharing these stories. And next time you're back down in Dominican Republic, stop by and say hello, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining our show.
Thank you for having me as a guest. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate you. And you're a mentor to me, and I've always looked up to you as somebody that I would like to, be like in this industry and carry it forward. And I think that's, a big topic today is where this industry is going and how we're going to push it forward. So I look to you and the things that you do for those answers and to kind of guide me and Jose and Jeremiah as well. So it's very important to me to make sure that this legacy continues on. And I think that your daughter's doing a great thing with it as well. So
I have all the confidence in the world, Tony, with the next generation coming as yourself that have the heart, the passion, the soul, and don't do it because they have to do it. You're in it because you're in love with it. You were
Correct.
Born into it, and it's a legacy, it's tradition, it's a love, it's part of your family. And as long as we can keep that passion, that love for people to come in with sincerity and respect who their consumers are, respect the industry, respect their colleagues, I think that we have the most beautiful years, without question, are yet to come. They're coming every single day, and you're going to live the best ones of all.
Well, thank you. And I think the most important thing and the important message is that we have to do it together. And I think that you have to put all your differences aside and kind of say, okay, this is our industry, and we need to do this together.
Absolutely. And don't get mistaken. This doesn't include Jeremiah because he's a generation older than you. He's somewhere in between. He's in between Professor, then Jeremiah, then us. So
that's like Numbnuts 2.5.
No, wait. No, that's Numbnuts 2. That's Numbnuts 2.
The nice thing about running this show, Tony, the nice thing about running the show is that I choose who the audience watches, and I choose who the audience hears. And usually, we hold Jose down on the ground, and Carlito beats the shit out of him, and then you can spit on him, and then whatever it is. But if Carlito's going to start going at me, that's bad news, man. I'm going to lose
You can
my
push
right.
the mood.
Fuck. All right, talking about Jose, where the hell is the professor? Jose, you're not supposed to retire just yet. Get back to work.
Well, if Carlito would let me, I think he didn't take his medicine today.
Oh, yes, I'll say. I always remember the first thing in the morning, I see your messages. Don't forget to take your meds.
Tony.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. If you were to say you learned one thing that you carry every day from your father, what is it?
Don't listen to Jose Blanco.
That's funny. One thing that I learned from my father is respect for your consumers and respect for the relationship with your manufacturers. And I think that that's paramount. And also don't let them give you any shit, either one of them. I think those are the important things. I just, there's so much over the course of the time that I've been in this business and my dad that I couldn't really pin it down to one thing, but I've just seen him, and you guys both all know that he's not one to be trifled with. And it was very, when I walked into my very first cigar store when I started traveling, it's very hard. It's very hard to sit down with a lot of retailers. But I always thought, how would I sit down with my dad if I had to try to sell him cigars? And I think that was, one of the lessons that I had to learn quickly was, if I could learn to sell my dad cigars, then I could pretty much learn how to sell anyone cigars.
I love that. That's awesome.
Tony, it's funny because I was going to bring up something. I'm not saying this because I've known your father now for close to 25 years, and you.
Here he goes again.
But listen to this. Exactly. One thing I always liked about your father.
The registry on this show, man. This is getting bad.
One thing that I could tell you about your father, with him there was no middle.
No.
Or you were a straight shooter, or you were a piece of shit. And your father didn't tolerate shit from anybody. If anybody would lie to your father, come up with a cock and bullshit story, he was out of there. That there was companies that he sold cigars from, but the rep was not allowed there.
Yes.
He would call the company up direct.
He also kicked the CEO of a I won't name the company, but he kicked the CEO of a very, very big company now. He kicked the CEO out of his store. Said, I don't want you ever back in my store again. I'll deal with the salesman, but I don't want you in here. So yeah, he's a cartoon character basically.
But at the end of the day, 50 years, your third generation in the business, why have you guys been successful? Great customer service, great selection, you pay your bills, you don't take shit from anybody, and you've made a name for yourselves in that part. And remember what I said in the beginning, two great things came out of Ohio, Dean Martin and the Bellattos, and that's it.
Well, thank you. And I think that we can attribute some of our success to just, we're in the business. A lot of people get into this as a hobby, and we have always been in this because it's our business, it's our passion, and it's our life. And without it, we don't have anything. People retire and have cigar stores, and people retire and do this, and I think because we built it as a business and take it very, very seriously and very, very passionately, that we've been able to, maintain our success so long in this industry.
Tony, changing a bit you and your dad have always been supportive of RTDA, IPCPR, and of course, PCA. In your opinion, you could go both ways of this. As a manufacturer, as a retailer, what does the PCA have to do, in your opinion, to get more retailers to go to the show?
in my opinion, I think there needs to be quarterly shows, right? My dad's biggest, not complaint, but biggest issue with the show is in the Midwest where we are, we need to be buying cigars in February or March in order to sell for our big season, which is the summer, and the trade show's always been in the summer. So we're not, with the deals and everything as a retailer, we're not getting our cigars until the fall or the winter after we do our orders. And I think if we did quarterly trade shows for each part of the country for their respective seasons, because I know that South Florida has a cigar season, Texas has a cigar season, the Midwest has a cigar season. So maybe 4 smaller trade shows instead of one big trade show would be beneficial. That's just one of my ideas. I don't know if logistically it would work or if people have already brought this up or not. But in my opinion, I think that's one big thing that would really benefit us in the Midwest at least, and I think in all the different parts of the country that have different seasons. Because when we come in to buy a large amount of cigars, in July, we would buy a lot more if it was in, say, February or March.
Yeah, it's been talked about, maybe 2 shows, things like that. We're gonna see how this year the show goes. There's a lot of people that are going to the show this year. I think that manufacturers and retailers have to support the organization, because at the end of the day, CRA and PCA are the only ones that are really doing the lobbying and all the things for our industry. And you know what really pisses me off is when I see salespeople that are members, that their companies are members of the PCA, telling retailers, don't go to the show, we're going to give you the same deals. And I've told some of the board members, and I've told Greg Zimmerman, you guys really have to put on a pair of balls. And those companies that have people, sales team going out there, not motivating people to go out there, they should be thrown out of the organization. Or it's very easy. Or you're with us, or you're against us. That's my. I don't speak on behalf of Fuente or Arturo Fuente International or Jeremiah. This is my personal opinion that I've said for years.
Well, and I agree with you, and it's our only line of defense, this organization, and it's the only protection we have against outside threats, and I think that it's very important that, we keep it that way, and I think that manufacturers and retailers should spend more money on making sure that we not only attend the trade show, but get together as an organization and as a community to make sure that this industry carries on for my kids and the next generation, so that we can have a show like this with my kids for the 4th generation of Bellatto and the Bellatto family. So right now it's very crucial that we stay together and continue to stay together and to push forward collectively and to attend the trade show and to attend the lectures and to have smaller meetings with one another to say, how can us, like, I'm 38 years old, so let's get the other guys that are 40 years old and under that are in this business and stop the inner fighting and say, hey, look, this is gonna be us in 20 years. What are we gonna do about it? And it's important that we keep pushing and keep doing that. And I think to your point, Jose, you're right. The attendance, I think, should be mandatory. I think it should be something that you should look forward to doing, and you should look forward to going to.
Totally
I agree. Tony, you do a lot of events, you travel a lot. Tell me 3 things. Well, you can look at it both ways. As a retailer, because your situation is unique, you're still a retailer because you still have a shop. So you're retailing, you have a cigar company. Tell me 3 things when you walk into a shop that tells you right away, this guy is gonna fucking fail. It's a disaster. What are 3 things you walk into a shop and right away you say, this guy's not gonna make it?
First of all, cleanliness. It's people, I think, are tired of the dingy, dark, like gross,
They
and
want
it's
sexy
very hard.
bathrooms.
Yeah, it's very important to me when I walk into a store to see how clean it is, because that also shows how much pride you have in your store, right? So if it's clean, that means you're taking care of it and that it's well taken care of. I think the second thing is the guys behind the counter, how attentive they are. A lot of people can just sit back behind the counter and watch somebody walk into a walk-in humidor. Jim knows what Jim needs, and Jim's going to grab whatever Jim grabs, and that's it. So I think that the second thing is I watch and see, do the employees walk into the humidor with the customer and show them the different cigars and show them the different pieces of art that are in the store, and show them everything that's all that show them what the industry is all about. And I think that the third and final thing I look at is how attentive the owner is to how receptive he is to just taking 5 minutes to listen to my story. And if I get pushed away, then I know that there's new things happening in this industry, and if you're not getting on board with it, I think that you're gonna get walked by, and that's I think those are the three things that I see.
Question that I ask everybody: if you had the opportunity to smoke a cigar with a person dead or alive, could be whoever it is, who would it be?
The people on the show. I'm not bullshitting.
Well,
You know what?
Thank you.
Oh, that's so cute.
We're about a month away from doing that.
I know, and I'm very excited.
Absolutely.
That's you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I've always told you you're a smart kid, and today I really realize how smart, because this is the first time, and we've had, I don't know how many, over 100 guests, 150 guests. First time that somebody hit it right. Well, not
Jose,
right, but I mean a great answer.
Jose, don't be flattered. He wasn't talking about you.
Yeah, you wish.
Tony,
When you
with Jose, flattery will get you anywhere.
Oh yeah. I could charm a snake. Let me tell you this.
Jose, please, Professor, if you allow me, I am overwhelmingly impressed. We've had a lot of guests, but I don't know if Tony remembers Fred Zanaboni. He was my mentor, and he's someone that really started taking our brand around outside of Tampa, New Jersey, Miami, New York, the Latin market. And I remember how successful the regional shows were. You mentioned something being a regional show and everything. Yes, there are some people who keep bringing it up and bringing it up. Unfortunately, there's only a few of the old timers left that remember the good days and what could be done. So yes, it's been said by CRA members that we have to do something different. It's been said, but it's hard when the majority of the people don't hear. But you're absolutely right. And I would love for you to get involved in somehow with some kind of leadership and start something with the younger generation. And so you can have some voice that is very powerful and very important for the future, with the PCA, CRA, whatever it is in our industry. Because you have all the qualifications and you have the experience at your age, which is amazing.
Thank you. I'm honored to hear that. I do, and I just need to know who to. I just need to get in front of the right person, and I don't know how to. I'm just having, hurdles trying to do that. And this year maybe I can sit down with some people and try to figure that out. And that's the importance of the show, right? So I can't do that. This industry is, to me, is something, and it's an industry where it can only be taught. You can't read it in a book, right? You can't pick up a book and read how to be in the cigar industry 101. It's passed down, and it's an art, and that's what's so important about it. It's passed down generation to generation. But again, with the PCA and the trade show, again, the importance of going to it is the fact that I can be in front of people like you to sit down to solve the issues and to figure out where we take this next. And I think that that's the key. And I think that if more people got involved and were in those conversations, then there wouldn't be the issues, whatever they are, that are there, right?
Absolutely.
I do have a funny story. Okay, so
Like funny.
It's not. It's kind of charming. So, the reason why I got into the cigar business is because of you, Carlito. And I remember, and you and Manny.
Oh my.
My dad took me to a trade show. It was my very first one. I was 18 years old, or I was 21 because I could drink. And it was at because I was going to be in the wine business. I went to school for wine originally, and I was going to make this transition. So I remember I went to this dinner that Manny had put on, and it was one of the Ashton dinners, and it was in where was it? It was at the Venetian, and I remember we sat at your table, and it was me, my dad, my grandfather, you, your father, Manny, Manny's daughter, your daughters. We all sat at the same table, and it was the year that VSG came out, and we all sat, and I'm the kind of guy that if I'm in, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room, and number one and number two, I keep my mouth shut and I absorb like a sponge, when I'm in a room of people greater than me. And I just remember sitting there, and it's so vivid in my head, sitting there and just watching you guys all talk about tobacco and the stories and the love, and then the wine starts coming, and then the brandy comes, and the cigars are there, and you pulled your famous Lanceros out of your pocket and you're giving them to everybody, and you handed me one, and I said, at that point, and it gives me goosebumps. At that point, this is the business that I will be in for the rest of my life because of that dinner. And it almost brings me to tears because of how important that was to me. And then I remember going out, I had to take a break because I was like so overwhelmed. I walked out, and like I'm standing there, and I had brought my cigar out into the mall, and I remember just standing on that bridge, and there was the guy coming down with the boats or whatever, and I'm standing there smoking my cigar, and the guy almost kicked me out because I didn't even know where I was doing. I was smoking my cigar in the middle of this mall. But I just remember how important that dinner was, and that how much of a game changer that was for me, and that catapulted me into this business. And that, I think, goes back to how important those kind of things are for this business, and how we're losing that. And it's painful to see that go away, and I hope that it never does. And we need to catapult the next generation into the way that Manny could walk into a room. And I remember he would walk into a room, he'd walk into a restaurant, and everybody in that restaurant, and by the end of it, knew about Ashton, and everybody knew, and everybody had an 898 in their hand by the time he left. And there wasn't a guy in that restaurant that did not smoke cigars after he left it. And that was just so incredible to me, and the charismatic nature of the Fuente family, and what Fuente and Ashton has done for us over the course of the years has just been incredible. So I just wanted to tell that story. I've been really excited to tell you that story.
Yeah, you know what? It's really touched me. And Tony, we can't forget, there wasn't one event that Manny Ferrero would be at that he did not close by paying tribute to the men and women who serve our country. Manny, Chindan.
Chindan.
Tony, you said something very interesting, how we're losing a lot of things in the industry. And you and I have talked about this. We have seen this year more than ever people who have never given a nickel to the CRA, who have never contributed a penny to the association in their state to fight legislation. People who are trying to make a quick buck, that when the FDA really goes in and we have to go into court to fight about this, it's going to be millions and millions of dollars. I want to hear your opinion about all these Mickey Mouse ice creams and cookie creams and all this stuff that's being out there. Because people said, yes, it's the First Amendment. Is this? Yeah. It's the First Amendment, whatever you can say. But the problem is that the FDA does not see it like that. And it's even worse, because you have a lot of people who are selling it online. You have stores that are saying that. But the thing is that when you see a 10-pack that says popcorn, and that person who bought it online brings it to his house, the kid is seeing 10 cigars and something that says cookie creams or popcorn or whatever it is. I want to hear your opinion on this that's really hurting so much our industry today, tomorrow, and in years to come.
I think that it's very, very important to, we talk about legacy, right? And we talk about, creative branding is something that I'm very passionate about. But I think that when we get a letter or we get an announcement that says that there's a problem with this packaging, that you need to make a pivot in the business, right? Because there's been, I think there's been mistakes made in the past with a lot of these things, and I think that a lot of people were kind of ignorant to it at the beginning, and the main point I think is that now that we're under scrutiny, that it needs to stop, and the business models need to pivot in regards to how we are marketing and selling our cigars, because now we're now under a microscope. And I think that any excuse that they have, they're going to take. And I think that is why, everything that we've done and everything that I've done, the business models have to pivot and not and prove that there's beyond a reasonable doubt that we are a business. We are a business that is for adults by adults, right? And I think that is very important in pushing the industry forward, and that's something that I'm very concerned about.
I think it's time.
Yes, sir.
No, I think Jeremiah wants to say something.
I do, but my internet connection is Dominican right now, so it's not so good. But coming from Tony, that's an interesting reflection and answer, because Tony's the master, or one of the masters in creative marketing, and it shows a big man and a very, very intelligent man to understand at what point you do what in your career, in your business, in your life. And I think that's what he just expressed, the way he expressed it, the way that people can look at things and change strategy depending on the outside dangers and forces, and depending on the situation, constitutes what an intelligent human being is all about. So I appreciate that answer, Tony. That was a very interesting one.
Thank you.
And now that you've given a good answer, or at least one which I liked, I'm throwing you in the hot spot. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. So I feel like this is gonna be an extra hot seat because you got the man
I know this is the hot seat.
All right. So I want to know, because I have found you very fascinating, and I do appreciate you being on here. What is?
You find him sexy?
I mean, yeah, he's like any guy who smokes cigars is sexy, right? Like,
Sexy.
yeah. That's sexy. So, who would you invite to your fantasy dinner?
Well, the question, we've already answered the question. I had it, and
Oh. All right. Well, then, if you were president, what would be the first thing that you would do?
if I was the president, the first thing I would do would to be elect my dad as president.
Man, he's good at diversion. Are him and Jose hanging out together?
It's politics. It's politics. No, because it's funny that you mentioned that question, because whenever I don't like either political candidate, I vote for my dad, just because I know that at least he's got one vote somewhere. But I've written in my dad a couple times, and because I just think that my dad is somebody who just says like literally whatever the hell he wants, and I think that that's sometimes what we need. You know, like he's just like if he thinks something's stupid, he just says like this is like with cigar regulation, he would be like this is stupid. Why would we even pay attention to this? And we would just throw it out or anything, you know, and so yeah, so if I was the president, that's what the first thing I would do is either to have is to veto my power.
You had 2 votes because if I make a comparison, there was somebody very similar to your father in ways of being. He did a lot of stupid things. I mean, said stupid things, but our country was never better until he left, and that's just comparing. Listen to you.
Yep.
So maybe you could run for president.
I'd rather be in the cigar business.
All right, what reality TV show do you think that you would be great on?
One of my mentors, you know, that has sadly passed away is Anthony Bourdain. So
the dating game. No, I just mentioned a dating game.
The dating game. Yeah. I'd read the Real Housewives of Youngstown, Ohio.
The only one that knows what the dating game is probably the professor myself.
Wasn't there? Didn't they let a serial killer on the dating game? I think Richard Ramirez was on the dating game. Yeah, I just watched the documentary about it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wild. All right, so what is the thing that drives you crazy the most?
It depends. I'm pretty OCD, so the thing that really drives me crazy is I bought a house, the one that I'm in now, and I've been here for 2 years, and like the yard right now is driving me insane because the guy didn't take care of it at all, and that's like a thing that takes 10 years, you know, to fix, and the landscaping, and the floor, and so like all this stuff that like didn't happen when I saw the house for the first, you know, like you buy a house and like the first year in it, 1,000 things go wrong. And I'm in that phase of my life right now where it's like, you know, I had the guy left stumps and it took 6 months to get a stump guy to come take my stumps out so that I could plant grass so that I can have another 5 years to get the grass going, you know, blah, 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 blah. So that's the thing that's driving me really crazy right now.
Oh, bless your heart on that one. But you know, that's why you're in the cigar industry, because nothing where it happens overnight, right? We all got to wait.
Correct.
All right. I want to just throw this out there. This is kind of a new question that I'm going to try out. What is one note that you really look forward or that you hope that you'll always find in a cigar?
Graham cracker.
Ooh. Graham
cracker. Right, and it happens on a cold draw, and it happens like right when you first light it. It's a very first third kind of flavor. So I don't like full body cigars. I like very like you know, like medium minus. Hence why I'm drawn to Cameron Tobacco and Carlito's blends. But you know, when I do my cigars, I try to keep it in that same profile. But when you have those like lighter shade tobaccos, and especially the Opus wrapper, almost every single time you smoke an Opus, that graham cracker to me hits right at the beginning.
That's what I was thinking. Oh my goodness.
And that's the one that I look forward to in every single cigar is that graham cracker note. And then I really like on the final third, I really like the minerality and the chocolate. So that old world kind of idea on the final third is what really hits my sweet spot and what I really like. And I'm smoking the Man right now, so I'm at that point right in the middle that's like moving me right to that like sweet spot in the cigar that's like going to be that like pepper minerality, but also like very sweet and savory kind of idea.
Wow. All right, so what is this will be the last question, so Jose can get back to you, but what is your absolute most favorite thing to do when you are working in the cigar industry? What's one of the activities that you really, really enjoy doing?
The factory. You know, I love being at the factory. I love, you know, when we started doing this, it was kind of a vanguard thing, you know, because I knew about wine, but I didn't know how to make a cigar. So we would sit down and it'd be a group of us, you know, there'd be 10 or 20 of us at the factory, and it was 100 degrees, and we were all drinking coffee, and we were sick to our stomachs smoking Ligero tobacco, and then and we would have to have Coca-Cola and fried chicken to take a break, and then at the end of the day we go up to Camp David and have our final cigar and eat dinner together and have they have a lot of Spanish wine there, and have Spanish wine together and have a great meal, and then just that relief of it being like 120 degrees, in Tamboril, to like going up to Camp David where it's like 75 and windy, and you look over the entire city, and when you're with your family and your best friends, and then that is cigars, that is this industry, and that's what's so important is sitting at the table with your family and friends and sharing a cigar and having. To me, my favorite thing ever is sobremesa, right? And that's something that's lost in the United States, is like having that hour or two where all the food is scattered across the table and there's ashes all over the table and everybody's smoking and everybody's having brandy, and like you have your one uncle that's way too drunk that's like sleeping in the corner, and like that is the cigar business. That is what we are in this for.
Oh my God, that reminds me of so many stories that I've heard.
Bro.
That's awesome. Okay, wait. Well, I'm sorry. One more question, Jeremiah.
That's just reminded me of so many stories we've lived, Carlito.
Bro, listen, and half of them are forbidden.
Yes.
All right, one more question. Your favorite Memorial, by the way, happy Memorial Day, everyone.
Happy Memorial Day.
What is your favorite Memorial Day experience?
I can't pin down one. I mean, they've all been special, but my grandfather was in the Korean War, and he played baseball in it, and he passed away this year. So this is my first Memorial Day where I've had a family member, that has been in the armed forces that is close to my heart that I can remember. So I think that this one coming is going to be very special because I'm going, my parents this year, and it's our first year without him. So remembering him, and he played baseball, and like Carlito said, he was a third baseman, and he actually played with Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford and all these guys. So I have all these signed baseballs and memorabilia from that. So I think this year, the Memorial Day, we're going to remember him and what he did for cigars and the industry. So it's kind of ironic and serendipitous that you asked that question as well.
Well, thank you for his service, right? And we appreciate you for being on the show. You did amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Jose, you're on mute.
That's exactly how I like Jose.
So I think, no, I was going to say it's time for Rich Myberg, I think, right?
Well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But before I bring Rich on, I got to put on the disclaimer that this is broadcasted through the servers of Switzerland. So whatever shit Rich says, it's okay by us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rich's Riot.
Hello, everybody, and great Memorial Day for everyone, remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country. Couple of quick things on the dating game. You were definitely correct, Tony, that there was a serial killer on the dating game, and also one of the most famous guests as a bachelorette was Farrah Fawcett. I only remember that because I'm older than Jose. And a couple of quick things. There's wonderful guys at the FDA. You know, they only have 18,000 employees at the FDA. How can it be that they can't find baby food? And the memo that turned in the problem all of a sudden was gone. I think I got lost here. No, I'm back. 3 months, the report that there was trouble with the baby food factory, and the FDA couldn't figure it out. Well, I don't have much trust and faith in the FDA in doing anything with 18,000 employees and a budget that's a lot bigger than my household budget. Well, very quickly before I do this week's story, I'm getting ready, really looking forward to Vegas again this year. And I remember last year, I was sitting at the bar waiting for Brenda to come back down from the room and playing a little video poker. And there's a guy sitting next to me, and a girl walks up, sits down next to him. He says, "This is your lucky day." He says, "What do you mean it's my lucky day?" She says, "Hey, it's a little slow tonight. I'll do anything you want for $300. I said, "For $300? Really? Yeah. But you have to tell me what you want in just 3 words." And the guy goes, "Okay. Oh, okay, I got it." And he takes out $300 bills and lays it on the bar. And she says, "Well, what do you want?" He says, "Paint my house." So hopefully that's what's going to happen again in Vegas this year. A lot of house painting. The show started with a little bit about Dean Martin, and reminded me of a friend of my neighbor who's a psychiatrist. He said a guy came in to talk to him. He said, "Doc, I'm having a problem. All I can do is keep singing songs in my head all week long. I'm singing Green, Green Grass of Home, Delilah, What's New Pussycat." He said, "I just can't stop singing them." And my friend, the psychiatrist, says, "That's easy. You've got Tom Jones syndrome." He says, "Tom Jones syndrome?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Is that very common?" He says, "It's not unusual." Okay, that's it for this week, if you heard me.
Rich, you threw us all a curve. Oh my God.
Not unusual.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Rich. That was fantastic.
Tony,
Okay, back to you, Jose.
couple of more questions. Many have said on our show, companies, retailers, cigar media, that we have reached our peak of the 456 million. That right now, and it's funny because this week I took a lot of time to go to the internet to see how heavily cigars are being discounted again. I mean, 15%, 20%, 25%. I'm not going to mention brands, but I was like seeing in the last, I would say, 45 days how it has progressive higher and higher discount. In your opinion, as a retailer and as a manufacturer, have you seen already these heavily discounts, and have you seen a tendency with certain brands that were going a little bit down this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've seen a lot more, deals, and I've seen a lot more of this swag, and I'm a firm believer that, if I do an event at my shop, or if I do an event with a shop, this buy one get one free kind of situation, even on a retail level, you're letting that extra money leave the store, and that customer's going to spend that $10 somewhere else. And I just don't think that I don't think it does anything good for anybody to give stuff away, as far as product, or even, swag. I think that it shouldn't be an incentive to buy premium cigars. I mean, I think that the cigars should be the incentive to sell the cigars. So that's my opinion on that. But I have been seeing it more often, and I have been getting asked that question more often, and I don't know why that is, and maybe you can shed some light on that.
No, I'm just saying that this week I took a lot of time. I always check it once or twice a week, but this week, especially to be honest, Friday and Saturday, I looked a lot. I'm not going to mention the website. I was blown away with some of the discounts, but we're not going to get into that. We want the industry to continue strong. We want sales. So I'm going to ask you 2 last questions. How do you see the future of the industry today for the next year?
I feel that there is going to be a lot of changes and a lot of consolidation. I think that the people that are kind of weekend warriors in this industry will kind of go away. I feel like and a lot of the bigger companies are going to start to offer to buy a lot of smaller companies. I hope that's not the case, but I feel like there's going to be a big consolidation in that, and we'll see. I mean, I think that's what's going to happen over the next year.
And my last question to you: the name La Barba.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, how did that come up?
So I grew up in obviously in Youngstown, Ohio, but I grew up in cigar stores and barbershops because my family is from Youngstown and I'm Italian, so you can draw the straight line there. But my dad's barber, his name was Donnie Marzano, and Donnie used to cut hair with a 45 on his hip, and he would chew tobacco and chew on. He wouldn't smoke cigars; he would just chew on them. And I remember learning about, from my dad and gentlemen like Carlito, about, and yourself, about, dinner and how important that is in the table and sobremesa. But I learned about the other parts of life at the barber shop. I learned how to be a bookie because I did that in college. I hope the statute of limitations is up on that. But I learned how to do that. I learned how to bet. I learned about I learned swear words at the barber shop. So I feel like those two things gave me like my kind of rite of passage, right, as an adult. The funny story about Donnie is my dad and Donnie went golfing, and Donnie missed like a 5-foot putt, and they were at this prestigious country club, and he missed this 5-foot putt and pulled out his 45 and unloaded the clip into the green after he missed the putt. So I mean, those stories at the barbershop and the cigar store kind of brought me into being who I am as an adult. So I think when we named the cigar, that it was a kind of a rite of passage for me and like my entrance into the cigar business. And that's why we decided to call it La Barba, which means the beard in Spanish, if you are not familiar. I know you know, but yeah.
First of all, Tony, it was a great pleasure, great honor for us to have you on the show. And I want to take a minute because I'm seeing the feed. And all those that every week after I make mention of the FDA and what this is going to cost, you don't know the sacrifice that I've made, that the Fuentes have made, that the Meerapfel have made, that the Bellattos have made, and a lot of people. I don't have anything against anybody in the industry. It's a good thing that all these programs are being recorded. So when we're long gone, and I hope I still have a long life to see this industry vibrant. Those of you who every week just take aim out of me, you're not going to get a response from me. You're not going to get anything. I'm not going to invite anybody on the show that has no respect for the industry. So you can write all you want. I don't have anything against anybody. What I'm here is to protect the industry for those who have never, ever, ever given a nickel to defend against the FDA or smoking bans or taxes. So you can write all you want. I don't fucking care what you guys write. I'm going to keep saying it. I could tomorrow, Carlito and Jeremiah could say, you're fired. And I'm still going to defend the industry. And I'm going to defend about anybody. I don't have anything against anybody. But anybody who does things that could be ammunition for the FDA, I will talk. If you don't like it, I don't like to curse. That's your fucking problem. And that's my 2 cents. Carlito?
Drop the mic. Poof. Jose. They're going to have to kick my ass before they get to you. And I tell you, that's what I love about you. Your passion, your heart. I've known you for so many years, and we were never involved together. We've said it many times. Nothing more with respect. But what you said is absolutely true. And I don't want to take a moment away from somebody as special as Tony Bellatto. But I'm so proud that you're on our team. You're a great man, Jose. the professor. Now, let me see Tony. Let me see him. La Baba.
Hello, sir.
Hello, my friend. Hello, sir, to you. Tony, La Baba. When you do something that is real and it represents who you are, as you have done, that has a story, that motivates people, that may give someone an answer to how, go back to your memories, you'll find the solutions to your problems. Tony, you've been amazing on this show. I just hope, with all the respect and all the love and everything. Yesterday, I must have kissed him 10 times on each side of the cheek. Mr. Glenn Luke, my brother, what he's done fighting for the industry and everything. His voice has been heard all over the world. To me, son, the future, it's time people start hearing more your voice. I could talk about your family from here to eternity. The memories, which Fred Zanaboni, the broken glass, the stories, how Luigi played with all the great ball players. But the most important thing that I'll never forget are not the stories, it's the hugs and the kisses.
Yes.
That love, that the Italian culture, I want to say the Cuban culture, so many cultures, it became more personal than business. It was friends. And those hugs and those kisses on each side of the cheek are something that will keep me happy for the rest of my life. I congratulate you. I'm very grateful to you, Tony, for accepting this invitation. And you have a uncle that if you need anything, I'll be there for you. Give my love to your family. God bless you.
I will. And I can't stress enough to you that you've been a leader and a mentor, and you have changed this business in so many ways that I've seen over the years. And I can't tell you how important it has been to me, what you've done and what you've done for it, and how you continue to fight for it, and Jose and Jeremiah, and how I look to you for the answers that I need to continue to push this to the next level and to continue to have this legacy that is so important that, like we talked about earlier, this is something that it's not, you can't read it in a book. It's something that's handed down. It's something that is told, and it's in the stories, and it's in the families, and it's in those hugs and kisses that this industry exists. And without it, we are lost. And I feel like, it's such an honor to me to hear you say that, and to know that I have somebody in my corner that will, fight and help me fight and help usher in this new generation of kids that really don't know what the hell they're doing, besides
Yeah.
besides loving cigars and trying to sell cigars, and getting out on the road and pushing and pushing and pushing. But it means everything to me that you guys have invited me on the show, and I couldn't be more honored and more humbled to be here. And so thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I do really appreciate it.
Tony, before we pass on to the big bait, the real CEO, the Godfather himself, I just want to say that, you mentioned about thank you being there and learn. And, isn't it poetic how I'm learning from you today and how much I need your nourishment as well as the younger generation so that I could have that hope and faith in the future, that maybe that will buy me more time so I could help and teach more and do everything I can to give the mom and pop, the family, the beginnings, because I was a mom and pop born in a grandson born in a little wooden house in Tin Roof. I never forget where I come from. And you are absolutely right. You are the future. We need more Tony Bellattos in our industry. We don't need big accountants and all these big finance. We don't need that. Don't do anything but destroy our industry. We need people who are committed with their heart, with their blood, and with their soul. And you have more than done that, and you have a future, and you give me so much hope. And I had to say that I learned from you.
Wow. Wow. I couldn't be more humbled. I really couldn't. You have no idea what that means to me.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Well, Tony, you have a lot of people that care for you, and I think this shows a tribute to it.
Thank you, sir.
It was very clear. You have an uncle out there who's always next to you and going to be behind your back. You know, I think what he said is couldn't be more accurate. Not surprising coming from Carlito, who's always been a visionary and a mentor, but also probably one of the people who's seen the clearest and fought the hardest, at least in my lifetime, of what I've seen. No question about it.
No question.
When he says that this industry needs people like you, real people, people who care, people who have both boots on the ground and who enjoy the premium cigars for what they actually are. I couldn't agree more. And sitting around the table here today, you have your uncle, you have your great grandfather Jose Cap, but you also have a big brother, Jeremiah Meerapfel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm again honored and humbled to even be on the show and to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you, and I couldn't appreciate you accepting me to your family. I can't get the words out for how much that all of this means to me, you and what you guys are doing and what you've told me today and how open my eyes are,
You know, Tony, what's kept us alive and the intergenerational business we've been doing, both the Fuentes and the Meerapfels together for a long part of it, is human beings around us and with us. And people don't realize how lonely it can be when you enter the ocean and you got these huge waves coming at you who are not focused on keeping things afloat. They're focused on destroying, or they're focused on creating, or they're focused on whatever it is their agenda might be. But the sole focus is not keeping things afloat. And a lot of our families that have been around for 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever it is, generations, we've only done so because of one thing. Our no compromise on keeping things afloat for the next generations with an S. And that dictates all the choices we've made. Sometimes those choices seem very unusual to a lot of people. Many times those choices seem absurd to many people. And it would do. If you look at the results of those choices in the next minutes or hours or years, they would seem absurd. But when you look at them based on what it's going to do in the next generations, then you understand and you realize what they're being done for. And I think what Carlito recognized in you is the capacity to make choices based on future, based on the fact that there's a bigger picture than what's going to be happening tomorrow. I know for a fact that when I see Jose, as clumsy as he might be, getting all upset in terms of this decision or in terms of this person speaking or in terms of this kind of discussion going on, I also know that he's seeing the bigger picture. Correct. And I also realize that what he's trying to say is this is bigger than any single one of us. Jose's been in this for many, many, many years, and the last thing he wants to see are all these families who have been giving up everything they've had over the last generations because of greed, because of stupidity, because of short-sightedness, because of the inability to pull your head out of your ass and look into the future. This is not a guessing game. This is not who's going to be right and who's going to be wrong. This is about keeping what every single person agrees on safe. Premium cigars. And if premium cigars is what you care about, then there is no discussion on anything anymore, because the only focus everyone has is premium cigars. And Tony, you fucking love premium cigars, my brother. And I cannot wait to have one with you in a month and a half, give you a huge hug, and continue this discussion.
It'll be my pleasure. It'll be my pleasure. And I couldn't agree with you more. You know, it's a constantly evolving thing, and we have to make sure that it stays, and we have to fight. And, you know, I still haven't, you know, through the, you know, I've been doing La Barba cigars. This will be my 10th year this year. I still haven't paid myself. You know, I still haven't taken a paycheck. Everything that happens with that goes back into it. And that's what's so important to me. And the new Bellatto project, you know, honoring my father with that. And everybody that's come before him, and putting that energy back into it, and just keep reinvesting and keep reinventing and keep being creative and keep showing people and getting the message out there that this is not a business to be fucked with. And this is not a business to be taken for granted. And this is not a business that we can afford to lose. And it's not a premium cigar is so much more than just dried up leaves. And it's brought generations of people together. It's brought generations of families together. It's brought people like you and I together today. And in this last hour, it's brought us together over a premium cigar. And you could be a millionaire, or you could be a plumber, or you could be anything in between. And a premium cigar is the ultimate equalizer. Nothing else matters but people. And if that goes away, it's so devastating to me. I don't have the words. I can't put it into words how devastating that is. So thank you so much for having me on and sharing a cigar with me. I'm humbled by all of this, and I hope that we can just keep pushing forward.
And we will, Tony. Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. We want to make sure that Melanie explains to us how you can watch Mr. Tony Bellatto and the rest of this crew, how you can watch a rerun. Melanie.
Hey guys, so be sure to go to our YouTube channel. It is www.tinyurl.com/the Professor Show. And you can go there and be able to watch all of the amazing episodes. I think there's like over 1 million of just thousands of drops of knowledge that you just cannot even like live life without knowing them. Okay. So go there, subscribe. Also go to our Facebook page and hit it and share it. You guys can go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Professor Show. You can hit that bell and you'll be notified anytime that we go live.
Thank you very much, Melanie. And Professor, please enlighten us on our guest of honor for next week.
Well, we're going to have a guest next week that is very close to Carlito. And he is very close to you also. That is Jean Gallo. And we will have an interesting conversation with a worldwide traveler, a passionate cigar lover, and I think a person that's going to bring a lot of excitement to the show, especially because he's a close friend of Numbnuts 1 and Numbnuts 2.
You're in for a treat next week, I can tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. Remember to take care of yourselves and of each other. And if you don't with passion, don't do it at all. Bye for now, and see you next week.
All right, so I'm not sure what happened to Carlito, but he does send his love. But be security just came and took him away.
All right. See you next week. Bye for now.
All right.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, everybody.